Lately I have realized something, it's actually kind of hilarious. Where did all of the Tekken 8 shills go?
What the f is this backswing blow?
At the beginning of 2025, when Tekken 8 Season 2 first dropped, there were countless people on their knees trying to convince us that Tekken 8 was actually just a good game and we just needed to wait for the devs to iron a few things out. This was genuinely one of the biggest cases of mass gaslighting that I have ever seen, bro. I literally have less a chance of being gaslighted by one of those chicks who think that Glizzy Goblin doesn't count as a body.
I'm a virgin. Like I don't. I'm a virgin. Like I don't. I'm a virgin. Like I don't.
But folks, remember this, as the not so great Dawn Man once told me, all lies come to the surface eventually. Dudes like the main man and Spag have disappeared off the face of the earth, bro. I haven't heard a Tekken opinion from either of these guys in months, bro. And it's because both of these guys got exposed. I'm not by any of us. No. All liars expose themselves, bro. All lies come to the surface. The main man will be the first guy to tell you, oh, you can play defense in Tekken 8. Sidestep is buffed. Oh, not being able to play high-level Tekken is a skill issue. It would probably take the IQ of an infant to break down these points. I think that a crow could genuinely break down one of the main man Swee's Tekken arguments. Like, I have seen a crow pick up a cheese block from one side of a tube and put it into the other side expecting a treat. And I think that that level of cohesiveness is enough to say that buff sidestep does not matter when every single thing in the game tracks. But there isn't even a need to break down anything he says because, as always, the main man is just like us and he rages at Tekken.
I'm so tired of solo fags.
And all of a sudden your boy's having a breakdown over balance and then we never hear any hot takes from him ever again. It's almost as if his income is directly tied to how well the new Tekken game does. And he had an outburst when he got emotional. Something he will always tell you is bad in his condescending dad tone, which is fucking hilarious. A crow has more emotional maturity than the guy talking about emotional maturity. Intelligence is wasted on this species, bro. There is a very simple explanation as to why these shills have returned back to their caves. This video from Nova Saiken potentially put them into hiding, but what I think really happened is that, funnily enough, these guys became tired of their own shit. For example, I think the dude Spag got the biggest wake-up call that I have ever personally seen, and I didn't really want to be an arsehole about it when it happened because I was already losing my mind over the state of the game.
What the f?
And to be honest, I really could have clowned him for this, but Spag was a guy who was shilling Tekken 8, constantly defending the dev team, etc. However, when their heat from the community got too hot, he started saying some super tame stuff regarding the game. It was basically just constructive feedback. Like, it was nothing. But Bandai Namco shipped him off faster than a sashimi delivery service, bro. Like, they had that dude out of there faster than a tub of Ben & Jerry's in front of a middle-aged white lady with no kids. And all of a sudden, the shilling ended, bro. Like, why would your opinion change so much? What happened, bro? The fact is, these dudes got tired of sucking dick for a company that did not care about their throats. Why would I suck dick if you can't even get me some mouthwash? Why would I suck dick? Why would I suck and a Uber home, bro? It doesn't make sense. These dudes realized that Michael Murray weren't gonna let them hit, so now they got nothing to say. And dudes like me are just sitting here laughing, bro. So this is a message to the Tekken community. Please have your own brain, because a lot of quote-unquote influencers don't even have their own soul, bro. When you can recognize who could have ulterior motives, it's very easy to judge their word. Don't be the guy that just listens to anyone because you think they know more on a subject than you do. Otherwise, you end up playing Tekken 8 Season 2 for a year. And that's even worse than the fact that you're not subscribed to the channel. Bro, I am getting too nice at this. I swear I'm too nice! I'm too nice! If you like hearing me complain immensely about Tekken or want to see me cook occasionally on some other bullshit, like, comment and subscribe. It seriously helps immensely. Also hype the video, description, slide, hype, very epic. Let's get back into it. In the last video I made, I said that the Tekken team have about a 1% probability of not fucking up Season 3. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. I personally think we are at a point with Tekken 8 where it's not possible to fix this game entirely. It just wouldn't work. It's not realistic to think that. Forced 50-50s and oppressive offense and the stance bullshit is so ingrained into every single character's moveset that it would be virtually impossible to fix that aspect of the game without it literally breaking. A balance patch of that size where they address these issues would easily have over 1,000 changes, which is more than the average performative male's daily personality traits and probably significantly more than that. But what comes with that is an infinite number of unintended behaviors and interactions which would just put the game in an even worse spot than it already is. So what can you do? You adjust the core mechanics of the game. Heat is the obvious one. Heat needs a complete overhaul. Will it receive that? Absolutely not. I would not trust this dev team to not feed my cat dog food. So what can we do about Heat to where it's not retarded as it's been since the beginning of the game, whilst not completely changing how it works mechanically speaking? The answer is make Heat something you build up like a bar. And this bar is built up by attacking and blocking, which I guess is changing it mechanically, but you know, it's a very basic and easy to implement change. I think it would be interesting if you gain more of this bar every time you block an attack that does chip damage, so there's actually some downsides to those moves. I think this change would at the very least make Heat a bearable mechanic because it makes Heat a resource now, and it's not just a given thing that you get every single round. I think that this change would help the pacing of rounds significantly as well. The second thing I would change, surprise surprise, is movement. I'm kind of getting tired of saying this at this point. Older Tekken games were balanced around the fact that characters had OD movement, which hid the fact that the game had some of the most horrendous, egregious attacks that you could ever think of. Yet, the game still didn't feel too unfair because you got to move. Sidestep needs a buff again. And backdash needs a buff, and specifically sidestep block needs a buff. Because of all the tracking moves that are currently in the game, sidestep needs to be buffed to such a degree that you need to practically get your opponents back every single time you step some shit. I'm being so serious, bro. We need tag 2 sidesteps. What I learned from playing a game like Tekken 3 is that you can have the most bullshit things in your game and they won't matter too much, as long as you have fantastic movement to balance these things out. The issue with Tekken over the years is that movement is nerfed with every single game, which brings to light the awful balancing this series has always had. Buffing movement reduces the power of forced 50-50s immediately, because throwing out anything without thought is now potentially a death sentence because of how strong step will be. This is the only way you can feasibly change this game and have it be playable without a complete overhaul. I am like 99% sure this will never happen because movement is a high level skill that gives you immense advantage over glue eaters, and unfortunately this game was made for glue eaters. Now, this isn't entirely a gameplay video, so I do want to move on to one more thing. DLC characters. Games like Street Fighter and City of the Wolves have done a very good job at making DLC characters a different flavor of the game that they created, which I think DLC characters should always be. What I mean by that is, in City of the Wolves, Ken and Chun-Li are guest characters in that game. However, they are very much Fatal Fury characters, in that they fit into the game's systems well, but they play the game fundamentally very differently from the characters in the base roster. Ken is a character who has a bunch of strong tools, except his fastest attack is 5 frames, which is like Street Fighter, but the fastest attacks in Fatal Fury are 4 frames, I believe, which is a huge downside, but it feels like you're playing Street Fighter in another game, which is very cool. In Street Fighter, the basis of basically every character's offense in that game is their strike throw mix-up. Sagat is a DLC DLC character that does not have a real strike throw mix-up. Playing Sagat requires you to be solid as fuck. A character like Sea Viper, who is super technical in a game where you click strike or throw. All of these characters, and I could go on, bring something different to the table. It's not like they're just adding characters just to add characters. They're actively going out of their way to make these characters play the game differently, which every character technically does, but you get what I'm saying, bro. Tekken has done a very poor job of doing this. The DLC characters in Tekken 8 that are like the most liked and played, they play the game exactly the same way as everyone else. Force 50-50 into stance bullshit, but they're just mid, and people are just happy that they're not broken, and that's the real reason that they like them, other than, you know, like being Armor King. Clive, honestly, is a character that brought something new to the table with all of his ranged attacks. However, they balanced him so poorly that nobody even fucking cares, because he just falls into the same Tekken 8 slop, where the most optimal way to play him is just to click 50-50s all day. So, this obviously needs to change, and they need to leave Marduk in the drafts. I know we're probably going to get Marduk this season, however, seriously Bandai, Marduk is not the cash cow that you expect him to be. You need to think about why Marduk was popular in Tekken 7. He was an easy character in a hard game, and he had the most reward for the most minimal effort in the entire game. You click tackle all day, because tackle, if you wasn't a complete sweat, was incredibly hard to break, because the break window changes with the range of where the tackle started. It's weird, and you put your opponent into a constant three-way guessing match, which deleted like half of your health if it landed. Also, command grab into 80% combos, something not even King or any other grappler in Tekken was doing. Marduk was just full of scrubby shit, meaning you didn't really need to play too much Tekken in a game where every other character had to play Tekken. Even characters like Kunamitsu, who could just 50-50 you eternally, still needed to play Tekken somewhat to get to those 50-50s. Marduk, click tackle. The thing is, in Tekken 8, nobody plays Tekken. Everyone has bullshit. Everyone has force 50-50s. Everyone in this game is Marduk. So what does Marduk bring to the table? Nobody cares about Marduk as a character. People just liked him because it's fun to play broken shit. All I'm saying is, Marduk isn't what Bandai thinks he is. They need to design characters better, but I think I have done way too much yapping for today, boys. If you liked the video, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. And until next time, guys, fucking hell.